Miss Rodeo Nebraska 2019 finished her reign in style at the 2020 Miss Rodeo America Pageant. I'm Rebel Seclotra reporting. I'm joined by Eva Oliver, who earned second runner-up honors at the prestigious Miss Rodeo America Pageant, held annually in conjunction with the National Finals Rodeo in Las Vegas. Eva, tell us a little bit about your year as Miss Rodeo Nebraska and the events that led up to the Miss Rodeo America Pageant.
My year as Miss Rodeo Nebraska went by in the flash of an eye. I can't even express how quickly it flew by, but my year was completely and totally life-changing. I think anyone that knows me or knew me previously before Miss Rodeo Nebraska would definitely say that I changed a lot as a person in all of the best ways throughout my years Miss Rodeo Nebraska. So I wouldn't go back and change a single thing. I had the time of my life representing the sport of rodeo and, of course, the good life. So,
where are some of the places you went this year, and what are some of the skills you learned while traveling the country?
I traveled throughout the whole entire United States. Of course, I spent a majority of my time right here in Nebraska, but I went to Denver, Colorado, Nampa, Idaho, Rapid City, South Dakota, Kissimmee, Florida, Houston, Texas, Guymon, Oklahoma, just all across the nation, just representing the sport of rodeo. And I think some things that I probably learned throughout my year would definitely be time management would be number one. Just figuring out like how long it was going to take me to get ready and when I needed to be at a place, and if I had to travel somewhere, what time I had to leave, and just really schedule out my whole entire day so that way I was always prompt and on time. And that was probably the number one thing I learned, because it's something I kind of struggled with going into Miss Rodeo Nebraska, but by the end of the year I definitely had it down to a very fine art.
So I mentioned earlier that you did very well at the Miss Rodeo America Pageant. For those unfamiliar, talk about what the Miss Rodeo America Pageant entailed.
The Miss Rodeo America Pageant was a week-long competition, and essentially we were just on point all day long. So we went through numerous interviews. We had to do a horsemanship portion, which we didn't know the horses. We didn't get to warm up the horses ourselves. They were strange horses, and we had to do a pattern. And, of course, there was a written test and speeches, and then we had a fashion show where we got a model and on-stage questions, just so many things that play into the role of who Miss Rodeo America is and how the judges select her.
What was it like to represent the Cornhusker State, specifically your home region of the Sandhills, underneath the bright lights of Las Vegas?
It was such a great honor. I wouldn't want to represent anyone else in Las Vegas at the Miss Rodeo America Pageant. I was born and raised in Nebraska, but anyone that knows me knows that the Sandhills of Nebraska holds a special place in my heart. And sadly, the Sandhills, we don't produce a lot of Miss Rodeo Nebraskas. So I had a fantastic support system, because they don't get Miss Rodeo Nebraskas from the Sandhills very often. So when one comes around, they're so supportive. So it just meant the world to me to go out there and represent my home state and show Las Vegas and the Miss Rodeo America judges what the Nebraska Sandhills are all about. And I really feel like when I was out there, I totally embodied what a Nebraska Sandhills cowgirl is.
You recently crowned Jolie Walworth as Miss Rodeo Nebraska 2020. What's next for you as you begin life after the crown?
Yes, I was very excited to crown Jolie. I know she's had several adventures already, and I'm super excited to follow along with her year. But now I'm currently back in the Sandhills in Merriman, Nebraska. I am working for Shadbolt Cattle Company, is my main source, and down at Hyannis Vet Clinic. I work at the vet clinic there sometimes when they need my help, but I am currently enrolled online as a full-time student at Chadron State College. So I'm taking some business classes right now, and I am projected to graduate in a year and a half. And thanks to the Miss Rodeo America Scholarship Foundation and the Miss Rodeo Nebraska Association, I'm able to continue out my education completely debt-free with the scholarships that I was awarded out in Las Vegas and in Nebraska. So I am extremely grateful for that.
So is there anything you'd like to add about your year as Miss Rodeo Nebraska or the Miss Rodeo America Pageant, anything of that nature that you would like to share?
I feel like I say thank you all the time, but I am so extremely grateful for everyone that supported me throughout my year and really molded me into who I am. I couldn't have done it without any of you. If any of you guys are listening, just thank you a million times. But I am just really excited to watch Jolie take on her year as Miss Rodeo Nebraska, and I'm even more excited to watch Jordan Tierney take on her title of Miss Rodeo America. If anyone's read any of her articles or has even talked to me, Jordan is my best friend, and we really worked and pushed each other super hard throughout the Miss Rodeo America pageant, and it just meant the world to me to be up there in the top 5 with her. So I'm super excited to watch her take on her year and Jolie take on hers.
I'm visiting with Eva Oliver, Miss Rodeo Nebraska 2019 and second runner-up to Miss Rodeo America 2020. Broadcasting from the Nebraska Soybean Board Studio, which is brought to you by Nebraska soybean farmers and their checkoff, you're listening to the Rural Radio Network.